Welcome back to another episode of Techie Talks with Kuldeep. I'm your host, Kuldeep Singh. With me, there are three veterans from the industry. Dr. Sarabjot Singh, CEO Tatrasdata, Sandeep Rawat, CTO OpsTree Solutions, and Manu Jain, CEO ScaleupAlly. Without any further delay, I will start the conversation. As we have seen with any technology change, that the change has already started. We have seen lots and lots of the new technologies have evolved in the years, and specifically, the AI, which has revolutionized whether you are into the tech world or not. But this is something which has impacted everyone. So my first question would be to Dr. Sarabjot. So Sarabjot sir, is this something like you will just see we are evolving into the chatbot world, or do you see something major coming up in the year 2026?
I think the way I see it, AI is going to continue to evolve. I think, we've focused very much on LLMs over the last couple of years. And, to be honest, I think we have gone well beyond LLMs already. So the AI that we are dealing with today, we call them LLM, but LLMs is a very small part, right? These are actually AI systems that are integrating what are standard deep learning models into it as well, right? So when we do image generation, it's actually going well beyond what a large language model does, which is really predicting the next word. So where we have got to from, the launch of ChatGPT, for example, in November 22, to where we are today, we've already got a much more complex infrastructure that is hidden behind a natural language conversational agent, right? We have these multi-agent systems that have evolved. So I think that's going to continue. Large language models, in my view, is not going to deliver on, general intelligence. We still are far away from that. When I say far away in AI terms, that of course could be 5 years, not 50. But I think there is going to be a shift. What is interesting is the world models that are being talked about as alternative approaches. We have to remember that large language models, as exciting a technology they are, when you actually start using them in anger, right, on a daily basis, you start to find the limitations. And we find those limitations all the time. And part of why those limitations exist is that these are inherently correlation-based models still. We are not understanding the world. We are not providing causality within these models that are very, very important, right, to build systems that are safe. And so we are going to see a shift in that direction. Another thing that I think is becoming very important is the fact that AI is a very powerful tool. It's going to continue to be powerful, but it's in the hands of unelected, organizations. Countries run because, democratic countries run because we elect people. So we have to start looking at, potentially there's some talk around sovereign AI, where you're saying we have to own the AI stack, right? And when we talk about the AI stack, we are talking about the hardware for training models. We're talking about the data. And while a lot of work has been done around countries, bringing in laws that require residency of data, there are also concerns about if you have residency of data, but the models are owned by primarily US-based entities or Chinese entities, then are you going to be underrepresented in the AI models themselves because you have ring-fenced your data, right? And so are we going to see a scenario where AI wipes out small communities in parts of the world that have not provided the data to these companies? And so we've got to think about how this sovereign AI evolves. And I think it will evolve to some extent. You already see Germany and France saying that we are only going to work with Mistral, which is a French large language model AI company. Right? And they are looking at how can we build this stack out, from, data residency to the compute layer, which again, we are tied up to NVIDIA right now, right? Yes, of course, all of the hyperscalers are creating their own hardware as well. But essentially, right now, the lion's share of the market is with NVIDIA. What if the US government decides, I'm going to hurt a country like we have seen India suffer over the last while? If they were to say, okay, we're not going to sell NVIDIA chips to India, or not going to allow it, for example, what are we going to do? If India decides that, hey, the LLMs, we're giving them data, but we're not getting the benefit out of them, they're supporting around 8 Indian languages. What about the rest, right? These are things that we have to think about, and countries at large need to start thinking about, because I think we've got to see some level of AI sovereignty come in. And hopefully we'll see the emergence of that in this year itself.
You are absolutely right. And I think, see, with the power of internet, we went into more kind of the decentralized space. But now again, we see, okay, more or less like the power is again getting centralized to only to the fewer players. And I see that conversation has started even in the India community as well. There are like talks of like, how you can build certain things which are specific for our language, where we can keep also our data center. And there are like companies who are building, that stack specifically for the Indian market. So now I'll come to you, Sandeep, and because yeah. So Sandeep is also like, coming more from the DevOps and as well as cloud space perspective. Do you also see the corresponding changes are coming to the DevOps as well as to the cloud space as, the tech and specifically AI is evolving?
By the way, I had one question for Sarab sir, but probably I'll ask that later. I'll start answering your question. So see, one interesting thing that AI has done is that it has touched every single tech or non-tech area. So obviously, which means that cloud, or let's say DevOps, obviously cannot be untouched around it, right? The good thing is that the journey has already started, and we have seen a huge impact of AI across all those dimensions or verticals of DevOps. And you name it, right? So for example, how I see AI is that, let's say, when you have a huge amount of data, which you obviously not comprehend, then AI can help you out there. Take example of, let's say, if I talk about continuous integration. So what happens that, let's say, a new checks comes into the picture. Now it takes a lot of time for you to inculcate that. But now with AI, getting all that data, comprehending it, it becomes very, very easy. Similarly, one area where I have seen a huge impact of AI is specifically in the observability domain. Let's say if you are managing a huge amount of infrastructure, and typically when we talk about mean time to recovery or mean time to detect, and I have seen that people have taken, let's say, hours or even days as well to figure out an issue. But with the advent of AI, specifically when I talk about AIOps, it has shown decent performance there, where we were able to identify issues, doing root cause analysis. That's where AI has excelled. I'll give an example, right? So when you have to investigate an issue, there are disparate sources from, you have to basically crunch all that data. So there would be logs, there would be traces, there would be, let's say, golden matrices and all those things. Now for a person who has to analyze that issues, that person has to look all those things in totality and then finding a certain issue. The advantage with AI is that all that big crunching of data and all that aspect, that becomes very, very easy. So in my opinion, let's say all these areas, whether it is about cloud governance or let's say observability or SRE engineering, across all those areas, AI play a very crucial role. Now it is up to the people that they understand that landscape and see that how they will be able to leverage AI to perform their operation better. For example, one of my colleagues, what that person has started doing, or earlier we was also doing that, we used to create all those templates, the reusable code. But now with the advent of AI, what we are saying that, okay, let's train our AI models where let's say the Terraform code or Ansible infrastructure, Ansible software configuration management is already fed in the system. And if I want to design infrastructure, can I ask in a prompt, okay, generate, let's say PCI DSS compliant infrastructure for me? and then the complete infrastructure, at least initial skeleton layer is there. Now, one risk is there that if you are totally dependent on it, then you will not be able to judge that whether AI has hallucinated or it has created infrastructure correctly. So you obviously you cannot be a person who is only leveraging AI and not validating it. So maker and checker rule has to be applied there. You should be aware about all those things, but for your efficiency, you should definitely use AI. That's what I think.
And you were having a specific question for Sarabjot sir?
So see, sir, what I have seen is that again a pattern across our clients that I have seen is that initially what used to happen that let's say when the new technology comes, then companies used to start let's say developing solutions around it. But with AI, the difference that I'm seeing is that a lot of commoditization is happening, right? Instead of people developing solutions, some companies are developing it, but there are specific companies who are developing specific solutions. So let's take example of bots, right? So now there are dedicated company who are creating voice bots and chatbots, and then they are saying that okay, you don't have to invest so much time to develop all those things because we know that a voice bot has to perform in a certain fashion and it has a certain business knowledge. So let's say there's a voice bot for loan collection and all those things. So what is your take on it? So how industry will move? Will it move toward commoditization or will it move towards, let's say, creating specific solutions?
Um, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that there are individual businesses that are focusing on what we can say verticals, right? And building solutions on top of that. My view is that a lot of those businesses are getting wiped out by newer versions of the LLMs that are coming out with OpenAI,
Yes.
right? Every or any other company for that matter. So I think that is where the bubble is, right? A lot of businesses are, they don't really have a moat, right? They're creating an interface on top of the LLMs and saying, here is my unique solution. There's nothing unique about it, right?
Yes.
And so I think we have to be very careful about those kinds of businesses compared to those that are actually adding value. And that value add is very important. So,
Right.
we work with a lot of startups in the US and we see both sides, right? And we've seen, for example, you were talking about root cause analysis. We've built for, in fact, a company that has spun out of Andrew Ng's AI fund, an AI-based solution and the software around it that does RCA on industrial accident information, right? Coming from multiple disparate sources. Again, these eyewitnesses, for example. And the power is there, right, in the LLMs to do something like this. But the questions that have to be asked is, what is your moat? And the moat really comes from learning from interactions. And that's another very, very powerful piece that the LLMs are currently the only source of learning, which worries me to some extent. So, while we talk about data residency within India, we're actually saying we're all talking to LLMs. The LLMs are learning more about us, just as Google knows more about us than we do, right?
Right.
And so really the moat is getting created by those LLMs because of the interactions. And that's where OpenAI has a lead. Otherwise, if you look at it, right? Maybe this is going to be very controversial to say, but I think, if we look at what's happening right now, Google is to some extent outpacing OpenAI, in my view. But what does OpenAI have? It has the advantage of first mover where everybody went and started using OpenAI. It only comes as a second thought to us. Let us use Gemini instead, right? But actually, in my experience, Gemini is actually giving much nicer answers in many cases than what OpenAI is doing, right? And so to me, I think that moat is what is keeping OpenAI afloat. So when we are looking at these very thin verticalized solutions, we've got to look carefully when we adopt them into business as to what is their moat, right? As this technology evolves, there is ISO 42001, which is the AI ISO, right? Is going to become more prevalent. We've got to start asking tough questions about what is the model that you're using? How have you enhanced? What is the data you have used to enhance it? Is there bias within it? We're not asking those questions right now, right? And so when we talk about democratization, democratization is happening right now in the sense that anybody can sit up and write an AI-based product, right? And so selling it in the market. But I don't see those companies survive. I see them as actually, a blip, and they will disappear. In the end of the day, we need to kind of look at much more mature solutions being developed, can't be developed overnight. And that's where humans are going to come into the loop, right? Because I don't think AI on its own is going to be able to create those solutions.
Yeah. Definitely, I think, the human is going to be in the loop. And now coming to the Manu, right? Manu as a person who himself has embraced AI within his company itself, and I think during his regular conversation with the client, right? So what is the market shift which you are noticing, Manu? Is this something the same which you are also the questions being asked by your customers within this space?
Okay, yeah. So there is one clear shift that I'm seeing in 2026 is that the customers won't be tolerating the softwares or analytics piece that make them work for it. They need the softwares and these analytical pieces to be smart enough, and these pieces work for these clients. They do not want dashboards, menus. You have to click there and there and there to get to an answer, which is lying down somewhere in a Power BI report or in a software system. They need conversations and they need actions. They will be now uh, using AI to help understand what went wrong, where it is going wrong, what could have triggered that. And rather than me searching it out, the system should take it out. The system should notify the user itself. So anyone who is creating these smarter solutions will be the winner in 2026, as per my observation in the market.
No, definitely. And I think this is what you said, right? So how the people will also interact with the software is going to get changed. Like, today we are interacting with so many, dumb solution, I would say, like, because you need to go and tell them, hey, here it is. Then you click on B, click on C, get it on one place, get this thing. Maybe in the future you do have a single interface through which you can ask those questions and you get all those answers very quickly. So yeah,
I,
go ahead,
yeah,
Sandeep.
I have one question for Manu. So Manu, one thing that I have seen as a pattern. So see, we are a DevOps company, so we enable our customer hosting their solutions, but then obviously we interact, but we see their solutions as well. I'm seeing two aspects there. So one aspect is that, for example, we have web interface, command line interface, mobile interface. Now, prompt interface is something which is coming as a common that okay, this should be the first class citizen. Whenever you're developing the application, you should develop a prompt as well. Another pattern that I am seeing is AI first. So there are certain companies, but they are saying that at every interaction point of their application, uh, there should be an AI enabled option there as well, where let's say if they want to analyze something, then they should be able to do that as well. So what is your take on that? What pattern you are seeing there? Is this prompt interface is something which is getting optional, or is it AI everywhere, every single interaction point AI should be enabled, or maybe a bot, AI bot? Matlab how you are seeing it, or it's a combination of everything?
The way I'm seeing is there is an inherent nature of doing less clicks and get more outcomes. And anything that helps the customer or the client does that, the solution or the market will move towards that. So in extension to what you're saying, AI first solutions uh, needs to go in the trend, or there will be a demand for it, because not a lot of times can customers or clients will interact with the software piece. So they want to interact with the humans. They want to interact and do sales. They do not want to go to the software and start inputting the data or see what is happening in the system. This is where, if I make a system in AI first, what will happen is as Sarabjot sir already mentioned, um, the AI has already got the context of the business. It is trained on all the business contexts across all the industry. This is where the system if it is made AI first, anywhere the human wants any interaction with the AI have an answer which is more precise than the software has been built for.
Okay. So you're saying, Manu, the interface, probably they will start, but I also see it as Sandeep, like as a human, right? The change, because we have it's been already like 20 or 30 plus years since we have started interacting with the computer. They had, right, with the browser, with the click, etc. So eventually I'm also not seeing like that will go immediately away, because then as a user, it is going to scare me, right? Hey, is there something now I need to learn, the new way? And Manu, what is your advice for the non-tech people? Because now they are thinking, because the bars has got like lower, at least with these tools, etc. Now you can build an apps, you can code, also you can build even a machine learning model. How they can start contributing into the tech ecosystem?
Okay. So there has been the biggest, what I was seeing, that after AI, the requirement of the softwares might reduce. Rather, I have seen it increase, because a lot of non-technical person or any person who does not have uh, the support from the technology team, they have this power to build the applications by themselves. So the rise in this low code application building solutions using drag and drops or AI systems have increased phenomenally in the last 1 year or so. But as I have also seen that the more rise in the software solutions of this idea, this is uh, a lot of them, or a maximum of them, are dying out within next 3 months, 6 months, uh, because there is no product market fit. What non-tech person are trying to do is they're trying to become the coders overnight, and that is something I do not recommend any. The biggest opportunity for any non-tech person is to become a translator. They need to become an high quality input providers. So these non-tech guys might understand an industry, retail, logistics, healthcare, pharmaceutical, whatever. They need to map out their success parameters, their workflows, understand the business, and provide an input to the technology team, AI plus engineers, so that they can spun out an application faster. So for non-tech guys, yes, they can build an application in few days, but that is not something that they should be worrying about. They should be working on turning a business pain into a build ready clarity. And once the clarity is there, AI is smart enough to spun out an application for you.
Yeah.
That is where I perceive the biggest opportunity for the non-tech people.
Yeah. No, definitely right. So this is something where they can build fast. And I'm coming to you, Sandeep, because nowadays, like the seniors who do have 10 or 15 years of experience, they are getting worried, right? Hey, is this something? How can I stay ahead of the curve? Because either due to these tools or the automation, maybe they are thinking their knowledge which they have accumulated over the period is not useful for them.
So if they are getting married, it is a good sign to have, because once you acknowledge the problem, then obviously you start solving it. The problem, Kuldeep, that I have seen is that as time progresses, people become complacent and they get into their comfort zone, and they are not bothered that they are lagging behind. That is the problem. If somebody acknowledges this problem, then obvious solution can be done. Now, uh, I have always told this to a lot of people in my company and other people who have asked me. Uh, One of the mistakes that people do is that they believe that the work that they are doing, that is the only thing that they should be doing. Now, the onus and the responsibility of technical growth or whatsoever growth of a person, only that person is responsible for the growth of that person, not anybody else, not the organization or somebody else. So let's say if you are really bothered about you are lagging behind, you are not growing, then it means that you are not spending time on yourself. It is as simple as that. Can you dedicate, let's say, some amount of time? Now, it can be half an hour, it can be hour, it can be 2 hours as well. It depends that how aggressive you are with yourself, right? The only thing that is needed, it is consistency. whether you are consistent in that approach or not. It is not like that. I got hit that somebody got selected somewhere else. For 1 month, I studied hard, and then after that, I forget. You should love technology instead of just because of the sake of doing something, you should do other things, right? Once you have sorted this out, I can assure everybody who is listening to this video at this point of time that you will never have that botheration in your mind that I'm lagging behind because you're not spending time in yourself. That's why you're lagging behind. I just want to add one more point to the point that you discussed with Manu. And I have a firm belief there. In my opinion, see how we define tech and non-tech. A person who has done BTech or masters, uh, we treat them as tech, and people who have not done that, people who have done BCom or let's say some other stream, we treat them as non-tech, right? But frankly speaking, what I believe that in life, people have different priority. At that point of time, they may have not done, let's say, engineering or something else. But at any point of time, if somebody decides that I want to move into tech, I don't think that person cannot move into go into that direction. I have seen a lot of examples where, let's say, after 20 years, 30 years of their career, people have decided that okay, now I want to focus on this area. And in India, it happens less, but at least outside India, it happens a lot. And off late, I have started seeing this here in India as well. That people, if they decided, okay, I want to move into tech because it is a better career opportunity, I've seen people doing a lot of transitioning from that angle.
Yeah.
So it is all about conviction and trust on yourself, and then obviously putting effort.
It is in India also, it has become quite prevalent after this data science heat that we have. Like I will take a couple of examples. We used to have one person in an organization who was a decathlon salesperson, and he came into as a data analyst, stayed with us for 4 or 5 years, become one of the good performers. There is one more guy with a BA in English, right? Becoming one of the React developers. So the passion and the dedication and the aggression that you can show, I think that will help you in the technical world.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think it is again, right, the stacking of the knowledge set. We are into the tech world, which is like giving us the advantage that we have to always keep learning new things because the stack itself is changing. And the past knowledge which you do have is definitely going to help. So it is not going to kind of, you have wasted it somewhere. All right. The one question which I see is the investment which are coming up in AI. Are they sustainable or is it just a temporary trend and we might see like the rest all the technology bubble, maybe AI bubble is also busting. What is your take on this?
I think, there is a bit of a bubble, but I think real investments in AI will continue and are sustainable.
Any other view, Manu?
So see, for sure, AI is not a book. It has to stay. But obviously, at this point of time, cost economics are not meeting. And I would like to thank all those courageous people who are investing a lot of money because they are maturing this market. Right? Somebody has to mature this market, and then that's how. Then only, let's say, the proper mature solution. As Sarab said, that there are companies who are creating wrappers, right? But they are still maturing this market for us. And then probably somebody come up with a very nice solution, which is very cost optimized, which is very business focused. But ultimately, one point is there that AI will stay, it will improve, it will become more economical, more, let's say, business aligned, right? That's how it will turn out to be.
Go ahead, Manu.
So definitely on the AI side, it is going to rise. But on the economic side, there could be, as Sarabjot sir has mentioned, could be a bubble, a small bubble being in place. If you see like the way the US stock market is working, where the power of this AI resides into 5-7 companies. And these 5-7 companies are putting in the money into each other, thus rising the stock market. That and the results in the earnings, the quarterly earnings or the annual earnings, if they are not in line with the investment that they have done, yes, the market might correct itself. I will give you a small example. Microsoft invested in OpenAI. OpenAI then used this money to buy NVIDIA chips. NVIDIA then pays to Microsoft to build data center. So it's similar to thing where I'm being paid to dug a hole and I'm paying another person to fill the hole. So this circular loop is happening in the US market. But again, the fundamentals are strong. It could correct the market. AI for sure is going to help the lives of us, SMEs, and the world.
Yeah. And definitely it is going to help to the people who don't have that much investment to do. Because, for example, now with these help of these tools, people do have certain idea in their mind where they can start building and start, showing it to the users. Another question is, AI, will it take all my job or will it act as a complementary to me?
I think it'll take away the jobs you shouldn't have had, right? At the time of the IT boom, a lot of people got into IT and coding when they shouldn't have. They didn't have the passion, right? I mean, I think Sandeep and Manu both talked about love for tech. If you have a love for tech, you're going to be secure, in my view. You have to learn and adapt to the new tools and use them to improve your productivity. If you don't have a love for tech, then move into places that you have a love for. Find your passion and you're going to be successful. We talk about AI being more creative than human beings. I think that's a nonsense, right? There have always been competition in creativity, whether you're an author, a painter, or a poet. There have been thousands of people writing poems. It is your brilliance and your way of creating something that has made you successful. AI will compete with you in that sense, but you can always, if you have a passion, you can create something beautiful that will compete and beat AI in my. So find a job in where you are passionate.
Sandeep, sir.
Any?
I usually answer this question depends on you. Whether you upskill yourself or you will remain in your comfort zone. And let's say the area in which your comfort zone is, and if area is not evolving and it is going obsolete, obviously will get obsolete as well. So you have to ensure that you remain in that area which is not obsolete. And obviously, as Sarah said, it as simple as that, if you love technology, then obviously you will not be faced with all these questions.
The way I see it, AI is going to replace task, but it is not going to replace the responsibility on.
Yeah. And I see it also, right? For example, you can do more things earlier, which were not possible. So it is definitely going to complement. But if as a technologist or as a non-technologist, you're thinking that the world will remain the same, world is not going to remain the same. So you will see that these things will become part of your life, as for example, like, some of the tools which maybe 50 years ago, no one would have predicted that computer will become a part of our life. Mobile phones will become part of our life. The home delivery of the item will become part of our life. And that has changed the way how we do plan the thing, how do we execute the thing. And as a technologist, it is like always one thing is constant, and which is the change, right? So that is whether you embrace it or whether you think it is too much, then definitely, this technology space is not. All right. I think it was a wonderful conversation. And thanks a lot for sharing your views, Sarabjot sir, Sandeep, Manu. And I think giving the take also on the technology space, how it is going to help you, is it going to replace you? Those things are also helpful as we can take those learning and go back and start applying in our day-to-day life. So thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you,
Thank
Kuldeep.
you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Cheers.
All right. That's it for this episode. Until next time, keep learning and keep innovating. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Take care.